ABC's e-learning electrical apprenticeship. Glad y'all could join us. Looks like we've got a pretty good sized group here. Um, Tonight is essentially orientation. In other words, we want to just get you comfortable with the program and get accustomed to having meetings like this. This is a Teams meeting. Some of you may have been in meetings like this before. Some of you maybe not. I assume that everybody can hear me okay. Um, Somebody tell me whether or not they can hear me. Can you hear me? All right, I got a thumbs up.
I can hear you.
All right, all right.
Yeah,
Always
we
like to
can.
check. You know why? Because I've been in these before, and I talked for like 5 minutes, and finally somebody said, "Hey, man, your mic ain't working." So that's kind of embarrassing. So I want to avoid that if at all possible. So tonight we just want to go through some of the rules of engagement, how this is going to work. I've got a PowerPoint presentation here that we're going to go through. You all should have received by now your books. This is the first year book set of books. We have all 4 years in this meeting, or if everybody showed up, we did. And so you would have a first year is red, I think second year is blue, third year maybe orange, and fourth year I think is green, the backpack. Now in your backpack you will have a variety of books. Yeah, see Frederick's got his there. Good deal. You'll have the books that are relative to your school level, school year. You'll have everybody got a code book, everybody got tabs. And I would highly recommend you get putting those tabs on. And also wanted to say before we got too farther, if you got something to write with, it'd be good to take some notes because I'm going to make a note a couple of things or say a couple of things that are noteworthy and make sure that you are taking note of them. So take notes. Check your emails regularly to make sure that I may be sending something out, and watch for texts. And I want to say this one thing before I get too far into it. When you get a notification that we're having one of these meetings, you'll get a text message that says, "Hey, reminder, the meeting's this Monday or whenever it is at 5:30 or whatever time," and then you'll also get an email. The Microsoft Teams links, I used to send them out in the text also, and come to find out that those links were not working. So I no longer send them in the text. The text will just be a reminder. You'll get an email. I send it at the same time, and you'll get an email that is the link for you to use for these meetings. So let me share my screen here, and I'm going to, there we go. All right. So, electrical apprenticeship e-learning. There we go. So, orientation. First of all, who is this guy that I'm listening to sitting in my living room or wherever you are? Again, my name is Mike Barley. I am a master instructor. I've been in the trade now for over 40 years. I am a master electrician. I am a certified master trainer. In other words, for example, this education is coming to you from the ABC chapter for the Indiana and Kentucky chapter, and I am the master instructor over the Kentucky portion of it. And so we have around 500 students, I believe, through our state, online and in face-to-face class sessions. And I also am a licensed instructor and educator. I teach in a career and technical education center in New Albany, Indiana. And I know some of you guys, these online classes, I got guys that seems like we had a lot of people that were from Fort Myers in this class. But around Florida, North Carolina, maybe even Texas, kind of all over the region. So we're coming to you from Kentuckiana, or what is Southern Indiana, close to Louisville, Kentucky. That's basically where we're at. And then also, and I'm an author. Some of the books that you guys have for the lab-based learning are books that I authored for career and technical education and predominantly lab-based learning. And let's see. So just kind of back up and say, what did you get into? Because I know some of you guys in these classes, we have individuals who are electrical apprentice, you just got into the trade, or, we have all of the groups in this class tonight. So there should be first, second, third, and fourth year students in this. So you could have been maybe in another program and then you come into this program because perhaps you're in a traveling base or something like that. But just to kind of back up for a second and say, what are we doing? This is a federally approved apprenticeship program. To complete this program as an electrical apprentice, and the reason I'm doing two different ways here is because we have some people in this program that are maybe not an electrical apprentice, they may be office staff. We have some companies that actually run their office staff through the online program because it helps them understand what's happening in the field. It gives them some code knowledge, and it really is kind of a sharpening of everybody on the team, so everybody kind of knows what's going on. I kind of have to explain both sides of this. Predominantly, of course, people are in this program, they're electrical apprentices. You're going through the 4-year program, you inevitably want to become a licensed electrician. That's typically what it is. So to complete this program as an electrical apprentice, you must attend all 4 years of school, complete each and every assignment, and work in the field a total of 8,000 hours, and complete as many skill competencies as possible. And that is a book that we'll talk about here in just a bit. Now, if you are not an electrical apprentice, to complete the program as an electrical administrator, project engineer, or support staff, you must attend all 4 years of school, complete each and every assignment, but you obviously are not working in the field, so you will not be accruing on-the-job training hours. Now, licensing. First of all, as I said, we got people from all over this region, all over the East Coast predominantly. So, individuals in this program, maybe, at the culmination of this, maybe looking to get licensed in North Carolina, could be Florida, could be Indiana, Kentucky, a variety of different places. And we will help as much as we possibly can, but the code is the code throughout the country. They may be on different cycles, but nevertheless. So licensing requirements vary depending on the state. All curriculum in this program leads to preparing you to take the journey level licensing exam. Requirements for that exam vary state to state. So I will always be pointing in that direction. I will make references of that 1,000 times before this is over with. That is the direction we're heading in, getting you prepared to be able to take that test. You would need to check with the licensing officials in the state you are in or would like to become licensed in. I'm very familiar with licensing in the state of Indiana. I'm very familiar with licensing in the state of Kentucky, and I am somewhat familiar with other states. We will have ongoing discussion about this as the course progresses. So, the course schedule and details. You will need a computer or laptop device to be part of this program. Using a cell phone as your electronic device is unacceptable. That is not a good way to go through all 4 years of your apprenticeship or any year of your apprenticeship, doing it all on a cell phone. This is a huge amount of information, especially you guys that are in the upper levels, 2, 3, and 4. If you're one of these guys in here who are in the 3rd year, you got the heaviest backpack of them all. But there's a great deal of information that we're trying to take in here, and doing it all from an iPhone. You need a laptop. Now, do you need a $1,200 laptop? No. You could buy a laptop that would work for this deal for probably $100. A Chromebook, something like that. If some of you got kids, some of your kids probably got a laptop like that, and they're using it in high school or grade school or whatever. So you will receive all communications via text and email. I mentioned that earlier. I can't recall exactly what the the text message looks like. It seems like it said something about ABC. We've had some people actually look at it and delete, because they thought it was spam or whatever. I totally get that, but it's not. So be looking for that. And here's the schedule. This is today's the 26th. We're doing our first meeting. This is the schedule of meetings that we will do throughout this adventure. We're starting today. I'll tell you what the due date is at the very end, but basically our last class is around the end of July, and that's when you have to have all your work done in. You are in what we don't really advertise it calling it that, but it's really an accelerated class. Normally our school years run from August to about April. You guys were starting a group here, because we just had a need to go ahead and get some guys in school that runs January to July. And I'll say this, you start back in, let's say you first year guys, you start back into second year. When you come back, you'll be off from school probably about 3 weeks, and then you'll start second year. You don't have the whole summer off. That's how we run this. So you can see level 1 is all single meetings. Level 2, 3, and 4, because they're small classes, to be honest with you, I have combined those, is not a problem. Once you get above the level 1 and you get into level 2, 3, and 4, what we're teaching in these meetings, I mean, it's code, 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 and so it's not a hard thing for me to do that. So that's how I've decided to handle it. But and I'll say this, is anybody going to come to your house and smack your hands if you're not at one of these meetings? Well, probably not. Are you going to learn anything if you're not in one of these meetings? No. So the idea is we put these on and I teach, and sometimes we may have others that teach with me. That's a possibility, but tonight I'm just doing orientation. The next time we meet, we will begin study, and we will have teaching time where I'll be doing a lecture similar to this, and we'll be talking about the code. We'll be talking about Ohm's Law. We'll be talking about all the above. Now, how are we going to do this? Where's the home base from? The learning platform. So first of all, you are responsible for completing all the assignments, and don't get behind. And also, I'd like to say, don't go in there and just go, I'm going to go in there and just do all of them as fast as I can. That's not doing it right. The idea is that you go through this material and take your time with it, but you do have a due date to get it done. But also, you need to make sure that you're going through the material to get it. I probably don't need to point this out, but essentially what we're doing is we're training people to wire buildings. And if they don't do it right, they can injure themselves, they can injure others, they can burn a building down and kill people. That's what we do, or that's what we don't do. But that's what we could do if we're not watching what we're doing. So what we are learning is of great importance. The National Electrical Code is of great importance. So, wait a minute here. I got a message here. Okay, just somebody coming in late. Yeah. Okay. So don't get behind. And I've seen guys do that, and it's like you're not getting you're not getting what you should get out of it. Did you do that and just check the box? Yeah. We've got a lot of material that we're trying to drink in here. And I'll say this, a lot of the responsibility, when you're in e-learning, a lot of the responsibility is on you. If you were coming to class with me like I have in other classes every week, 5:30 to 8:30, and you got to listen to me talk for 3 hours, and we're working in the lab and learning stuff. Yeah, I'm spoon feeding it to those guys every week. I just dumped a truckload of stuff on you, and you got until July to do it. That's a different environment, isn't it? So the learning platform we will use the curriculum platform known as Capacitor from Mike Holt Enterprises. Mike Holt Enterprises is our mainstay as far as our curriculum provider. And this will be the primary home base for all learning. They have a platform that's called Capacitor. Soon enough, you'll learn what a capacitor is, and you'll kind of get the joke. But so that is, and this is what your page should look like. You should have received an email that said, sign up for this. If you haven't, then email me, and I can, figure out what's wrong and make sure that you get on there. But that is where you will be getting all of your assignments from. You basically go into the assignment page or go into the home page like this, and it says enter class. Well, let me back up here. You'll receive an email from Mike Holt Enterprises asking you to set up the account. If you don't, email me. And I'll leave that up there for a second and make sure that you get my email. It's mike@abcindianakentucky.org. I believe it also was on the sheet that everyone should have got in their backpack, that has all of the dates, when the meetings are, kind of the lay of the land where everything is. So this is the platform itself. If you notice here where it says the big red arrow, it says enter class. Once you get on the site, enter class, click on that, and that will take you to this, which you start doing the assignments. Now, in first year, you have a basic construction site safety book. That is where personal protective equipment and electrical safety, that's where all that stuff comes from. That's in the first year book, for example. So all your assignments just start out and you just work your way to the bottom. There'll be an indicator if you're looking at your books, you're going, okay, safety, that's the J.J. Keller book. If you're, you'll have an indication of what book this is coming from, so you can study. If you have any questions on that, that's where you can ask me, you can email me. We have these meetings like every week or every couple of weeks, just depending on my schedule. But, if you have questions, you can always email me. So once you click on that, then you get into your assignment, and then you have questions to answer that you're going to have throughout that. You'll have reading, and then you'll have a question to answer. That is essentially your work. So be going through the books, doing the actual answering of the questions. That is the work that you are doing. And well, now notice here where the red arrow is. And I'll say this, you're going to have to get on the site and just start clicking on stuff and kind of feeling your way around the site and get familiar with it. Review material. This is where you click on review material and it'll take you to this page, and it has, and this is a slide so I can't page down, but it has all of the books in the entire collection, all 4 years, I believe. And that is all of the books that you'll need to reference to. If you click on one of those, it will take you to videos, that are on the particular subject. It'll take you to PowerPoint presentations where you can review the PowerPoint presentation. And it has an electronic version of it. So if let's say you're at lunch and you wanted to catch up on some reading or something, you can pull that up on your phone. This will work on your phone in that scenario. You can pull that up and be checking it out and getting through it. I want to point out everything that we are doing as far as code is concerned is based on the 2023 National Electrical Code. So when you see on the page here, it says 2020, you got to page down and go to the books that are based on the 2023. So when you're looking at a book that says, 2020 bonding and grounding, make sure you're looking at the 2023 version of it, because that's what we're on. And if you're looking for your grades, you can look at, and I want to explain this clearly, you can look at, you can click on the tab that says grades, and then it'll say, you completed this assignment and this is what your score is. This is just an example. Nothing's been done for this guy yet. And then how long it took for you to do it. So keep in mind that I can see on there, if you got a grade on an assignment and you got like a 50%, a bogus grade, and you took 4 minutes to do it, well, I think we know what happened then, don't we? So that's what I mean. You need to take time, look at these assignments, spend time on it, get as much information out of them as you can. Now, the red arrow is pointing up at that little mailbox. If you need to email me, you can email me, traditionally, go through your email and mike@abcindianakentucky.org, just like it is on the sheet. Or you can go to Capacitor and click on that box, and it'll allow you to email me from Capacitor. It's not impossible that I would send out a message through Capacitor to all the students via the email that's on Capacitor. It basically this is the platform, but it'll go out to your email. So. Now, skill competencies. I want to explain this clearly. First of all, I understand this is an online program. If you were in a standard face-to-face class session with us, you'd be coming into class every week. It's a 3-hour class, and an hour of it or hour and a half of it would be lecture. The other part of it, depending on the level that you were in, you'd be in a lab doing stuff. If you were first year, you'd be wiring branch circuits. If it was second year, you'd be bending pipe. Third year, control systems. And fourth year is PLCs. Obviously, we're not doing that here. So the reason we have put these books in your backpack anyway is because we still wanted to give you the guidepost for actually learning that part of it. And our expectation is that you would get those experiences in the field. So you have, first of all, this book, which is called Electrical Apprenticeship Skills Competencies. What is a skill competency? These are all the things that we would hope that you would experience through your 4-year apprenticeship. And that is everything from wiring 3-way switches, putting a GFI in, bending a 90-degree bend on a piece of conduit, wiring control systems, maybe doing some PLC wiring, lots of other things that are all detailed per level in this book. That's what this is for, to give you that I'll call it a grocery list, but that list of things that we want to make sure that you're doing. Our hope is that you would experience those out in the field because, like I said, some of you guys are all over the East Coast. Who knows where some of you are. So, we're not going to be able to stop by our labs and do a little bit of conduit bending. So we give you the book in hopes that on the job site that you're going to be experiencing some of these things, and then you can kind of start checking them off yourself and maybe even have your supervisor sign off on them, which you can. If you look in the book, it has, for example, here's making up a 2-gang box. And then here at the bottom, you could sign it. Your supervisor could sign it. Yeah, he did that. And then as you go through it, you finish each one of these competencies, bending pipe and what have you. then you sign off on it. The goal is to, well, I'll be honest with you, I wrote that book because I could never find anywhere in any other publication that said what all is it that one needs to complete hands-on wise out in the field to say he is a completer, a journeyman, a completer of the apprenticeship as far as the hands-on learning. Lots of stuff out there about learning about what the book part is, but not this. So I created one, and that's what this is to be used for. Now, is anybody going to be coming to you and saying, hey, did you get all that done? And smacking your hands or giving you a bad grade if you don't do all of them? No, that's really not even feasible. I mean, I think anybody can see that. This might be a good point to say this. Quite frankly, you got to decide, if you're in this just for the fun of it, or you're just in here to check a box, or you want to be the best you can be. You want to be a good electrician, a skilled worker. That's ultimately, I believe that's most likely what's going to make you the most money. And so, having this gives you the guide. So, when you're out in the field, you can be speaking to the master or journeyman or supervisor, like, hey, I know you guys got this coming up. I'd like to try to see this type of work if I can. It gives you something to go by so you have an understanding of what those things are. So specific skills must be identified as having been experienced to confirm an individual has the appropriate knowledge and skills to be considered a completer of the program. Lab experiences are not a part of your grade. They are expected to be conducted on the job site. It is our hope that your company will provide these experiences, and we have provided the skills competencies book so you can create a log and checklist for those experiences. As an apprentice, some specific skills will be hard to arrange to experience. I understand sometimes, some of you guys might be on a big box job or a tilt up or something like that, and you're not doing anything but running pipe and pulling wire or putting 2x2 lay-ins in for, months. And so you get really good at that, but you don't get these other experiences. That is kind of the problem. These are expected to happen over the 4 years of the apprenticeship. So I want to be clear with that. If you don't get all the ones that are done, you first year guys, you don't get all the ones that are done in the first year, then they're still on your list, right? They're still on your list to get done before you get through all 4 years. We will have a lecture on various hands-on tasks such as branch circuit wiring and conduit. We will have, in addition to the assignments that are on capacitor, there will be times, weeks when I come in and I'll be doing a lecture on branch circuit wiring. I'll be doing a lecture on conduit bending. I also, and this comes up a little bit later, I have a YouTube channel that has a variety of different videos on it, interactive stuff or stuff where I'm demonstrating things, and also other teaching videos. So, we're making this as much interactive as we possibly can. Now, office personnel, project engineers, those guys, or other support staff are not expected to complete these experiences. Again, that's really not their purpose, is why they're in the program. So we're certainly not, trying to put that on there. But that does not mean you can't. It certainly wouldn't hurt anybody. And here's all the levels. So first year's branch circuit wiring, conduit bending, second year, industrial electrical control systems is third year, PLCs is in fourth year, and then of course the skills competencies book that's the family of lab-based learning books that we've got together for all 4 years of our apprenticeship. Now, just so everybody knows, as I'd said, I'm very quick thing on me. I have 3 jobs. First of all, I teach at Prosser Career Education Center in New Albany, Indiana. I'm a career and technical education instructor. I'm a licensed educator in Indiana. And I also am the master instructor for Kentucky for ABC. And I also own this company, Electric Lab. I sell training equipment. My company builds training equipment. I've written these books, and they're sold all over the country. A matter of fact, Mike Holt Enterprises, which is a nationally known educational entity, they recommend my products. If you go to their website and look at their syllabus for training for apprenticeship, when it comes to the hands-on part of it, they put in their syllabus, it says, if you need some help with the hands-on part of it, because they don't teach that part of it, it says contact Electric Lab. So you'll need to be able to find this site, not because you're going to buy equipment, or I guess you can if you want, but go to electriclab.org, and then you can go to the YouTube at the top, the tab at the top of the homepage. It says YouTube. That will get you to my YouTube channel right there. And my YouTube channel has, well, I've got, that's an old screenshot of it. I think got about 65 videos on there. And I may send out an email and said, hey, go watch this video. Go check this one out. Because there are some short videos on there that will help you on certain levels, and then there are some that are longer teaching videos, and they may become a part of your assignment. So, and it's a resource. So, hey, like and subscribe. That doesn't hurt anything. And be sure and check it out. So use the resources provided, with what I just explained to you, my YouTube channel, Capacitor. There is, if you would get on Capacitor and kind of, take a tour, go around and look at all the different stuff, there's a huge amount of resources, videos from Mike Holt, the PowerPoints you can review yourself. We will be doing some, but you can review those also. And the electronic version of just about all the Mike Holt books are in electronic version on the site. The other books that may be from other companies, like the J.J. Keller, and there's one from Fluke, which is a company that makes digital multimeters, things like that. Those are not in digital form on there, but all of the Mike Holt stuff is. Capacitor in each class session is filled with opportunity for learning, so be sure and use it. And, I'm kind of putting that out there. I would make sure that you, kind of bring things into line and focus on what you're actually experiencing on a daily basis. Because it's very easy for your supervisor to just go, yep, we just need you to go do this. Well, if you ask, you might be able to get to some of these other experiences that we're talking about that if you don't bring it to their attention, you might not get to see. It's very difficult for a person to go through all 4 years of the apprenticeship and see all of these things, because it depends on the contractor you're working for. If you're working for a residential contractor, you're never going to see a commercial job. If you're working for a commercial contractor, you're never going to wire a house. Some companies it may be difficult to get some of these experiences from. So we're trying to offset that as much as we can. Think about what is happening on the job site, and even ask your supervisor. Get the most from your apprenticeship years of schooling and engage in as many types of work as possible. This is a 4-year program, and then after that, you're on your own. As a licensed electrician, in many states, you're required to attend 6 hours of continuing education each year in order to maintain your license. So that's your only window each year to expand your knowledge. And friends, I'm telling you, the trade that you have began this journey in is like the universe. It's ever expanding. There is always new technology. There is always there's a new code book every 3 years. Right now, we are on the 2023 National Electrical Code. The 2026 edition is already out. The ball's in the air, but you might get a new code book next year, depending on adoption in the state of Kentucky and Indiana, and just whether or not books are available, that sort of thing. Long story short, it could be an advancement there. You guys that are in first year are you're in the position that you very well might not be taking your test under this book. It might be the 26. And every code cycle, every 3 years, they change. They change what things in the book. Simple as that. So we have to stay on top of it because technology is always advancing in our trade. We're not nothing against drywallers, but we're not drywallers. Not a lot changed in drywall trade, I would imagine. They went from nails to screws, and I don't know if anything else has changed. These are my tabs on my code book. Everybody got a code book. Everybody got new tabs. Make sure that you take time to put these on, and don't get in a rush. You put them on there, and you got it on the wrong page. It's like a tattoo. It ain't coming off. If it is, part of the page is coming with it. So make sure you take time, read the directions. These tabs, like you can see on my book, these are a little different. If you look at some other guys' code books, if they don't have Mike Holt tabs, they start about an inch or so down. I believe there's maybe an inch and a half down. There's a measurement given. And the reason that is, I think that keeps from tearing them off. If you put them in a backpack or something like that, I think it makes it a little bit better as far as damaging the tabs. That may not be important, but I don't know, for you, that's an irritation to me to lose a tab. Failure to complete all assignments on capacitor by the due date will result in a less than desirable grade. So you have to complete all the assignments. Again, you're in the accelerated class. So there's not a midterm. There is, we start now and you got to have everything done by the due date in July. And I'll tell you what that date is in a second. And that's a hard stop. We're not, we get to the end of July. It's not going to be, oh, give them a couple more days. Nope. We have to get these classes stopped, and we're also getting ready to put another 400 people back into school within about 3 weeks. So yeah, we got to wrap this up at the end of July. So it's going to be a hard stop. So don't get behind. Stay on top of your assignments and make sure that you have all that done at that point. Otherwise, at the end of July, we're taking what we got in the grade book, and that's what it is. Now, what happens if you don't do all of the assignments? And we're done. Well, that means that you might, first of all, if you look on the grades on capacitor, it might say, I'm 5 assignments short, but I still have a 92. That's because that's an overall grade. But when I see that and that we're at the end of the road, I'm going to go in there and put a 0 in for all those assignments right at the end. So, if you got all your assignments done, you can go, yeah, that's what my grade is. If you don't have all your assignments done, it really gives you a false grade. Because when you get to the end and you don't have all of them done, I'm going to go in there and put a 0 all of them. And yeah, your grade ain't going up. It's going down. Assignments equals hours. All work must be done to advance and or graduate. This program depends on you putting forth the effort to ensure completion of all the coursework. All work must be completed and submitted by, there's the date, folks, and it is on this sheet. So everybody knows you should have that sheet. Don't lose that. Keep that in your backpack or tape it to your bathroom mirror, whatever you got to do. July 27th. You must have an overall grade of 70% or better to pass the course. And there's no exceptions. You are getting a wide swath, I will call it. You got a wide path and a lot of time to do this. It's not an unreasonable amount of time. If you're doing diligence and you're not going to be spending, days on end working on this stuff, if you spend a reasonable amount of time each week, you can get this work done and make this date. You sit on your hands or decide that you got too much else to do or whatever the case may be, you let life get in the way, then you're going to have trouble. A little quick recommendation, you guys are going to be working at home. Some of you guys are on the road. I know that. Try to find a quiet space where you can set up and do this work. And use the resources. Watch those videos. Some of the videos from Mike Holt are short little snippets. Some of them are long ones. But he is talking to a team, and they will talk back and forth about code related issues. That's how you get familiar with the code. I'm never going to tell you, let's grab the code book and read it cover to cover. You don't want me to ever say that. We're not going to memorize the code book. We're going to teach you how to use it. I've been in this over 40 years, and there's definitely parts of the code that I have never used and probably never read. But I know how to find probably just about anything in it. So your books are your responsibility. I'm assuming, I haven't heard anything from anybody. I get notifications when all the UPS guys dropped off your books. So I'm assuming everybody's got their books now. So, if that's not the case, shoot me an email. I've got the tracking numbers and stuff, and we'll figure it out. But I'm assuming everybody's got them by now. So your books are your responsibility, and all students will receive a new code book. Also, you got your tabs. I would make a point of getting those tabs on there right away and then get started on the work. And I'll say this, the first year guys, yeah, you're going to be hitting safety. You're going to hit Ohm's Law. That's what you're going to encounter first. Probably when I get into some meetings with you, we'll go into branch circuit wiring, and switch control, and we'll talk, some stuff, online here to where we can get you familiar with that stuff. You guys in second or third and fourth, it's definitely going to be heavy, gunpowder soup, I like to call it, with code. And we'll be talking a lot about the code book, varieties of changes that are happening in the code, some things that are happening in the area. Very important stuff. So your success is your responsibility. Welcome to e-learning. That's kind of how this is. Your level of knowledge will likely determine your level of financial success in your future. Many of you guys, were you're all apprentices. I would venture to say the majority of you will probably not be apprentices your entire life. You're going to be journeymen, masters, project engineers, project managers, uh, um, and on up. This is the beginning. Lay a good foundation. Or you're going to deal with the fact that you didn't. Many years down the road. And I've had students come back and tell me that, and say, "Man, I wish I'd have really paid more attention while I was in class with you." Well, that's after I gave the warning. Well, that's kind of a shallow victory for me, if you know what I'm saying. That's not, yay, I was right. Really wish you'd have listened more. Many people think online learning will be easier. In reality, there is more responsibility on the student in this environment. Okay, so